Yeah. Project 2 video instructions. 1. Background on programming. 1.1 PHP and Apache server. Yeah. All right. Here I just give you the basic information to get you started. Yeah. And in this video, I do not start coding, but I need to give you the programming environment. All right. PHP basics. Yeah. All right. So here, we know the PHP, it is a server-side scripting language. Yeah. Server-side. Scripting, programming, but here usually people call scripting programming language. Yeah. Here, let me just write language. All right. Yeah. And why we pick PHP, where there are several options. So the main reason you will see, yeah, we have good reason to pick PHP. Yeah. Here, what we use it for, adding dynamic features into HTML content. HTML, we know, it's static content. Okay, yeah. But in order to make your web pages dynamic, so what do you mean dynamic? Yeah. Based on the user's requests, we can change the content quickly. Yeah. So we can provide better services based on the user's requests. Yeah. So the dynamic content is more useful than static content. Yeah. So here, before we use PHP, we use JavaScript. That can also do dynamic content. But JavaScript, it is a server-side scripting language. It's a client-side. Yeah. So you use it in your first project. So JavaScript, that is the client side. Client side scripting language. And we know if we only use the client-side scripting language, it's not enough. We need to do a lot of work at the server side. One thing is at the client side, JavaScript client side cannot access database. Cannot access the databases. Here cannot, so that means you are not allowed to access. Okay? Yeah. The capability, if we talk about the capability, yes, JavaScript has the capability to access databases. Yeah. Yeah. So coding, so people can write a code. Yeah. Through JavaScript, yeah, you can access databases. But the problem is not secure. Not secure. So as a good programming practice, we don't want to allow it. Yeah. So here the cannot means do not allow, that meaning. Okay. So not the capability meaning. Yeah. All right. So try to avoid. Yeah. So the basic principle, avoid access databases from the client side, only from server side. Okay, so that's more secure. Yeah. So the bottom line, the principle, avoid access the databases from the client side. Even if you have the capability to do it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then the reason we use PHP, it's easy and powerful. So what do you mean easy? Yeah. So easy here, easy to use. Easy to use. Yeah. Here. So for the PHP, actually, when you do PHP programming, actually, there are two ways people can do. The first way, so people call it procedural, right? Yeah, doing the procedural coding. Procedural coding. That means basically you just write PHP functions. Yeah. Another is object-oriented programming. Yeah, PHP does support object-oriented programming. Yeah, object-oriented programming. Okay. Yeah. But in this class, we use the procedural coding, just function, because it's so easy. Yeah. You do, because you already have a lot of programming experience. Yeah. Although you as a web programming beginners, but you have some programming experience, right? Yeah. Just use your programming experience. You can understand procedural coding easily. The definition of functions, how to call functions, input, output, then you can do this project. Yeah. All right, so that's the easy part. The powerful part. Yeah. So at the same time, the PHP can do a lot of things. So we say it's very powerful. Yeah. Because there are hundreds of built-in functions. Hundreds of built-in functions. So we just call them directly, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Usually when we need, we just search online documents. Yeah. So see some examples, so then we can use those functions easily, okay? So we do not need to memorize a large number of functions. Yeah. So after we get used to calling some basic PHP functions, so then we can use the similar ways to, apply any PHP functions. Yeah. All right. Yeah. How to use PHP? Yeah. So here, I need to give you the details. How to use the PHP. Yeah. So first, the structure of the PHP. Yeah. So when you do the coding, first, you need to, write a text file, right? Yeah. The instructions. So the structure of the PHP files. Yeah. So very simple structure. Yeah. So the way used here, embed PHP code into HTML content using PHP tags. This is the way, PHP code is structured inside HTML document. Yeah. So the content. Yeah. So you have the, the bottom content, HTML content. Yeah. Then somewhere, because whenever you want to add some dynamic content, then you just embed PHP code. Yeah. But how do you embed PHP code? Using the special PHP tags. Greater than, less than sign, the arrow sign, question mark, yeah. The opening tag with PHP, the closing tag, just question mark, greater than sign. Yeah, that's simple. Yeah, yeah. Some students, if you have some experience using JSP, yeah, so Java Server Pages, JSP, yeah, some students, yeah, at the same time taking the, advanced Java web programming, yeah. So if you have that background, then you know the same way as JSP, yeah, because in JSP, yeah. So here, for those students, so what I want to say, many server-side scripting languages using this way. Yeah. You cannot say the only way, but we can say it's a popular way. Yeah. Quite common. Yeah. So the JSP, people embed this time Java code, right? Java code into the HTML content. Yeah. So here, although I say HTML content, but that could include CSS and the JavaScript, JS code, okay, JavaScript code. Yeah. So we treat them as the same category. Yeah. All right. Next, how PHP works. Yeah. Because this background information, after you understand this part, so you will feel very comfortable. You can write your PHP code. Yeah. So I feel it's necessary. At the beginning, I give you this background information. So it works behind the scene. You cannot see it, but I like to let you know how it works. Yeah. All right. The role of PHP engine. So here I like to, use the PHP engine to give you the data processing details, regarding the PHP code. Yeah. So we call it engine. Okay. Yeah. So there is a, a special PHP programming environment part. So here we call it engine. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here for the PHP engine, the role. So what is its role? Yeah. So the role is, if I say in a simple way, process the PHP code. Okay, process PHP code in which way? In which way? Okay, interpret way. Okay, yeah. So interpreted way, not compiled way. So here, if you want to compare with Java, JSP, Java, it's a compiled way. So here, interpret, not compiled. Yeah. So I think you know the meaning, right? The difference between interpretation and the compilation. So not compiled way. Yeah. And here, so if interpreted, slightly slower than the compiled way. All right? Yeah. Slightly slower. Yeah. But overall, its performance is fine. Yeah. Yeah. Many small companies, mid-sized companies, they use PHP. Yeah. And they feel all right. Yeah. They feel all right. Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's interpreted. Yeah. So the performance is acceptable. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. So I will explain how to process PHP code in my next slide. So we will learn more details in the next slide. Yeah. All right. How to execute PHP code. We need to call PHP engine, but who will call PHP engine, right? So there is someone, some object, yeah, here, not person, some object needs to call PHP engine. That's the Apache server, okay? Apache server, call it. So here you can see, yeah, we rely on Apache web server to run, to access our PHP code. Yeah. Call PHP engine. All right. Yeah. So then, but how to call PHP file, right? Yeah. PHP file. Yeah. So in my next slide, I will explain the PHP file with PHP extension .php extension. Yeah. The file name. Yeah. File name .php extension. Yeah. But the question is here, the first step, call PHP file. The question is, how do you call PHP file, right? So when you get started, how to call PHP file, right? So first we need to, we know PHP file, it is at the server side. Apache server, okay? Server side, specifically the hard disk of the server, okay? Yeah. Store in the hard disk of the server, okay? All right, yeah. So then you access in this way, okay? Yeah. Because you call it through URLs. Okay? Here, let me give you the, the basic format. Yeah. All right. Suppose, because the UI will start with HTTPS, right now, so most people use secure version, yeah, s/www, then domain name. Yeah, the server, you need a domain name. Here, let me just use my domain. Okay, and .com. Okay, yeah, server side. Then no port, because we use the default 80 port, right? The default port 80, so we do not need to specify it. All right. Then to call it, yeah, so here, question mark. Yeah, so you put a question mark after the domain name. Yeah. So then, this time you can add PHP file name. Okay, PHP file name. All right. So my work, for example, .php. Okay, yeah. So in this way, my word.php. Okay, yeah. All right. And sorry, yeah, sorry, not here. Okay, yeah, not quite, slash, yeah, and a question mark after this one. Okay, the question mark, you add parameter part. Parameters after question mark. Yeah. So domain name, so it's a slash. Okay, yeah. And sometimes after slash, you can have, folder names, path. Yeah. So before the file, you can have folder. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. All right. So for example, slash folder 1 slash folder 2 slash my .php. Okay, yeah. Sometimes you can do in with many levels, folder structure, URL to access. Then, if you have parameters, you do not need to pass parameters. But if you want to pass parameter, I will explain parameter later. Yeah. So here you may ask me, what do you mean parameters, right? So yeah. So when I give you my coding examples, I will explain that later. Parameters. Okay. Passing HTML parameters, query parameters. Yeah. Sometimes people also call query parameters. Yeah. We will get there. Okay. All right. So here, just let you know what's the basic way we call a PHP file at the server side in this way. Okay. All right. Then, when you type this in your web browser, so this you type at your web browser, you hit enter, you send it to Apache server. Okay, the server running under this domain, Apache server running, so it'll receive your request. And then after it receives your request, it passes it to PHP engine. Yeah. PHP engine, yeah, because you have a PHP file with PHP extension, PHP engine will process the content of your PHP file. Okay? The processing result after execution, because interpreted first, yeah, the PHP engine first interprets your PHP file, okay, translate it to machine code, right? Yeah, then it execute the machine code, yeah, and get output. The output of your PHP file, yeah, usually it's a HTML result, HTML content. Okay, yeah. So the HTML content is sent back to Apache again, sent back to Apache, yeah, and Apache send that back to the client web browser for display. Yeah. So Apache send the HTML content back to the user, yeah, because the user typed that URL. Okay. So Apache send PHP content back to the user, and the user's web browser just display the whole web page containing PHP code. Sorry, containing HTML content. And then there is no PHP code in the return result. Okay? Yeah. Because the PHP engine already processed PHP code. The output of the PHP engine does not contain any PHP code, only HTML content. Of course, including CSS and JavaScript. If CSS, JavaScript, still it is passed to the Apache server and back to the client side web browser. Yeah. All right. So that's the basic procedure. Okay. All right. Yeah. Next, execute PHP files in server. Yeah. So let me just elaborate some points of the previous slide a little more. Yeah. How does Apache process a PHP file? Yeah. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Remember, we embed, right? Yeah, so here we embed because first, Apache server needs to detect the PHP code file, okay? Detect the PHP files. But how to do the detection? By the extension of the file. That's easy, right? So if your file, if you do not use PHP extension, then it won't be sent to the PHP engine. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing, you need to use the PHP extension, .php. Yeah. Then it is sent to the PHP engine. Then the PHP engine processes the content of the file. Okay, yeah, all right. After Apache detects a PHP file, it passes it to the PHP engine for processing. Okay, all right. A PHP engine bypasses. That means it does not do anything on HTML content. Okay, HTML content, but including here although we do not say it, including CSS and JavaScript code. Okay, yeah. So we all treat it as HTML content. Okay, yeah. It only processes PHP code and returns the results as PHP content to Apache. Okay, yeah. Here, if I draw a diagram, so we can draw in this way. Suppose this is a, PHP file. Okay, PHP file. Okay, yeah. So we use something .php as the file name. Because in a PHP file, you may have the first block of lines, the HTML content 1. Okay? Yeah, HTML content 1. Then, after you embed PHP content 1. Okay? Yeah. After that, you have HTML content 2. Then, you embed PHP content 2 and so on. Okay? Yeah. Then this part just copy. Yeah, so here we look at the PHP engine process. PHP engine processing. Okay? All right. All right. Processing output. Yeah. The content block 1 just copy as is. Okay? Yeah. The engine does nothing on it. So no change. Keep those lines. Yeah. But the PHP one, it may or may not generate. Yeah, that PHP 1 code may or may not generate HTML code. Okay? Sometimes it could generate, sometimes it won't. Okay? All right. So, but if it generates, so we add here. Okay? Yeah. Generate, because optional, optional, HC output 1. Okay, I add O, HCO1. Okay, all right. Then this HC2 copy as is. Okay, all right. Then this part, also optional because you may or may not generate HC output 2 and so on. Okay, all right. Yeah. So that's the structure of the typical output from the PHP engine. Yeah, the whole thing. So that's a HTML content. Okay, HTML. Okay, all right. Send to Apache. Apache send it back to client side web browser. Yeah. So Apache returns HTML response to the client. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the browser and the client renders HTML content. Yeah. So it could contain CSS plus JavaScript. Okay. So if you have CSS JavaScript code as is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So and they can be executed. Okay. Yeah. So that's the whole basic procedure by the background PHP code processing the internal mechanism. Okay, the mechanism. Yeah. Here, before we write the PHP code. Yeah. So I will, do some preparation before we start to do our PHP coding. Okay. All right. So let me finish our first topic right here.